Welcome to 180 Elevate. Mind, body, soul, harmony. It's time to play. How I play is I sing. I let this joy inside of me come through my vocal box. It's a sound from my soul. And I have some fun. Let's play.
You make me feel alive, diving deep into you. Something going on inside. I think I know what to do. 'Cause I'm focused, I'm steady, I'm ready. Like tomorrow will come as my fingers feel your body. Makes my heart beat like the sound of a drum. 'Cause I'm living it up, I'm drinking you in. I'm hungry for love, so let it begin. It's time to let loose, it's time to be free. I'll release it on you if you hold on to me. Hold on. Hold on. Here we are, you and me, body, mind, and soul. Why don't you follow me? Our journey will unfold. 'Cause I'm focused, I'm steady, I'm ready, and I won't let you go if you promise that this passion will stay burning, and we'll never go cold. 'Cause I'm living it up, I'm drinking you in. I'm hungry for love, so let it begin. It's time to let loose, it's time to be free. I'll release it on you if you hold on to me. Hold on. Hold on. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom. My mind is racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. My heart is beating, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, my heart is beating. It feels good. Got to get that cardio in, people. Off the couch. Here we go. Woo! My song called Fire from my album Love. And let's dance.
I'm on fire for you. You're one for life. I'm inspired, burning desire for you. I was dreaming you right. I'm on fire for you. You're one for life, burning desire. I'm on fire for you. I was dreaming
release ya. I'm not trying to cool you down, I just wanna heat ya up. So just tell me what I gotta do to please ya. Yep, I'm a gentleman, so you know how I treat ya. Luck be a lady, baby, it's nice to meet ya. It may be crazy, but you're all I could think of. We could just be friends and see where this leads to. And now give me your hand and just let me lead ya.
I'm all yours 'cause you know how to treat me right. Take me by my hand and be my Mr. Right. I'm all yours 'cause you know how to treat me right. Take me by my hand and be my Mr. Right. La 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 la
Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Get on the dance floor, it's time to party. Just like you on fire, move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Get on the dance floor, it's time to party. Just like you on fire, move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Move your body. Move your body, Maserati. Get on the dance floor, it's time to party. Just like you on fire, move your body, Maserati.
What? Thank you.
Welcome all to the official launch of 180 Elevate, a social network platform created for those who are interested in discovering life as an experience. Today's summit, Mind, Body, Soul, Harmony, will set your curiosity into motion with renowned teachers, motivational influencers, innovators, and creators. Knowledge and understanding holds the power to discover new perspectives and elevate the life experience. Hosted by 180 Elevate founders Rupam Khanna and Nikki Rishi.
There comes a time in our lives when we achieve a certain degree of success, which could be our goals at one point. An inner voice whispers in your ears, "Is this all there is?" The honest answer to that is always a no, as it is the universe asking us to discover our passions and find our purpose. Now, we used to have a choice prior to 2020 to ignore it and go about with our daily lives with countless distractions that were so easily available. As we move into the end of 2020, let's take a moment to look at how far we have come, what we have endured, and the challenges we had to overcome. Let's acknowledge it with self-respect, self-acceptance, and self-love as we move into the next chapter. Let it remind us of our own power, our own light, and honor 2020 for things that we can no longer control. How we can look at it from a place of growth and expansion while using all we have learned from this year as a gateway to the harmony of our mind, body, and soul.
180 is a networking social club to bring people together, a platform to connect and contribute like-minded people for networking and getting involved with our community as we broaden our knowledge and mind. A place to navigate some of the roadblocks and build experiences along the way through personal growth and wellness. Our disruptive thought leaders will take us on their journeys to educate, inspire, and sometimes even entertain us. We aim to provide a platform where the smart thinkers, great visionaries, philanthropists, motivational influencers, disruptors, and fascinating teachers will be inspired and have the opportunity to inspire others. So, if you have a desire in the coming years to become a better version of yourself, I urge you to join us. Carve out more time for self-love and growth while forming meaningful connections. And together, we will thrive beyond 2020. Visit us at 180elevate.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Rupam Khanna. At 180, our aim is to gain new perspectives from world-class professional experts that combine science, statistics, and most importantly, humane values, so that we can then apply these tools in our own lives. No one has mastered or studied relationships in more details than Dr. John Gray.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki Rishi, and we're honored, delighted, and thrilled to have today Dr. John Gray. John is the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all time, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And that book ended up selling somewhere in the lines of 50 million copies. USA Today listed his book as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century. His Mars-Venus book series has forever changed the way men and women view their relationships. Dr. Gray is one of the authorities in the dynamics of male and female relationships and has written a whole series of books, over 20, on dating, relationships, marriage, and intimacy for 4 decades now.
Prior to that, John was a monk for about 9 years. He studied with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Side note, my dad was his dentist. And he brings in the perfect harmony of science and spirituality in everything he does. He is the ideal keynote for these times of lockdown, as statistically, divorces are going up during these times, and people are struggling with relationships and connection. Welcome, and thank you so much for your ever-evolving work.
Rupam, thank you so much. Yes, happy to be with you.
Thank you. Being a professional multitasking entrepreneur myself, what really stuck with me is when you say equality in relationships is a beautiful thing. But the problem is people have equated equality with sameness.
On the heels of that, let's start with our first question. In your book, Beyond Mars and Venus, you explain why being a man or woman in today's society is more nuanced and complex than ever. Social and economic shifts have caused the sexes to no longer be dependent on each other. The truth is, even though our roles have shifted, there are still fundamental differences between men and women. For our audience, first and foremost, who might not be familiar with the book entirely, could you please outline key takeaways from it?
From Men Are From Mars or from the new book, Beyond Mars and Venus?
It would be great to do both.
All right, I'll start with Men Are From Mars. And this was written 25 years ago, and when relationships were more traditional, where men were generally the primary providers and women were the primary homemakers. But our culture for thousands of years actually supported well-being for women if they're going to be primary homemakers and if men are going to be providers. Actually, culture helped us to, when it worked, it worked. It didn't always work, particularly when men couldn't make enough money to support their family. When men can't make enough money to support their family, they often become alcoholics. They can be aggressive. They're just not motivated. And that's a tragedy when our old system didn't work. But some of the primary takeaways of Men Are From Mars, let's focus on that, how more traditional couples could come together. Men go to their caves. This is something that is unique to men more so than women, which is if a man has a stressful day, he needs time to just forget all responsibilities. Now, in my new book, I talk about that in hormonal terms, which is we now know that when a man can take time to forget his problems, in a sense, be in his cave, he rebuilds his testosterone. Now, testosterone in men, we have to make, as a man, I have to make at least 10 times more than a woman in order to experience well-being. Women need to make 10 times more estrogen in order to experience well-being. When I wrote Men Are From Mars, I didn't understand hormones. I just knew that women's biggest complaint with men is they don't listen. So I wrote a book explaining to men, This is why women are not so happy with you, is you think you're good listeners, but you're not. If a woman is to raise her estrogen and experience intimacy, well-being, happiness, connection, which produces female hormones like estrogen and progesterone, she needs to share and not be interrupted with solutions. So men want to fix it. They want to solve the problem. It's like a fire. I got to put it out, as opposed to relax, ask more questions. So one of the practical takeaways in Men Are From Mars is realizing, listen more and don't fix everything right away unless she's asking for it. So you might say things like, well, help me understand that better. What else? Tell me more. Or say something loving rather than give a solution. Say something like, you give so much to so many people. And let me give you a hug. See, these are supportive statements that actually make women feel seen and heard and loved.
So Dr. Gray, I actually, those are amazing insights. I do not want us to get away from this piece about dating you were mentioning before. So if I take us back to that part, I'm very curious to see or hear, we see a new dating trend every few decades, from organic matchmaking to modern online dating. So what is the next trend? What does the future of online dating hold? If we can talk about that a little bit more.
The new dating, which is happening now online, is magnificent if you have dating skills. This means learning how to create connection, not depending on sex. So this means two basic things. The first thing, which is most important, you can't touch over the internet. You can see each other. You can talk to each other. What you can do as a woman is practice some of my dating skills. For example, don't let him talk more than you. See, women often ask a lot of questions because they know they would like him to ask questions of you. So to start a conversation, women are great at asking questions. They interview us. And if you keep asking him questions, he'll just talk about himself and never bond with you. What you want to do is you can ask questions to start a conversation going a little bit. Then you want to interrupt and talk more. And then ask a question and interrupt and talk more. Not what your mother taught you. Now, when you do talk, you want to, because you're dating somebody you don't want to marry, okay, you want to free your brain of the people pleaser mentality. Women are conditioned to be people pleasers. You're conditioned to put yourself to the side and be there for other people, right? This is what a good woman does. You're there for others. You're selfless. Actually, that's what a good man is. It's selfless and being there for you. But you train him to be there for himself by being selfless and by being what some people might call a people pleaser. If you came to my house as a guest, you'd go, oh, what a beautiful home you have. And you'd enjoy it. And I'd show, oh, there's a painting and this is a statue and we did this wall coloring. I could do a whole tour of my house. I used to do it 25 years ago. I put a lot of work into making a beautiful place with my wife. Well, now if you came to my house and you wanted to buy it, your brain would operate differently. You would go into an automatic bias of what's wrong with this house. Is it really worth it? What are the water bills? Is there cracks in the foundation? Is the electric bill? How do you take care of this place? What does under the house look like? Do you have mold? We're going to do some tests here. How about the air conditioning vent? I mean, you actually, when you buy a house today, you pay people to come in and check it all out for you to see what's wrong with it. That's what your brain turns into when you go on a date with somebody that you're feeling could be good potential to get married. So stop looking for a soulmate and start using these new communication skills where as a woman.
Well, I was almost thinking these issues of unfulfillment and people pleasing and this pursuit of happiness mindset, of the many single stories that we hear today. I was wondering what's to blame, whether it's technology or how we were raised as a generation. What I actually hear after hearing you talk is that it's biology, and here is this toolkit that you should take in order to generate different skills that turn you away from being your authentic self that biology has produced as a woman to be a people pleaser and actually be something different in order to be successful in the dating world. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I agree with what you're hearing from me, but I also agree with what you're already thinking. Technology has a big role in all of this, and our culture has a big role in all of this. Keep in mind, the culture is developed by intelligent people. Okay, we got to where we are, not by a bunch of stupid people. Religions, although for many people are outdated, for other people they're not, this is not stupid people. There's wisdom. But today it's changed. The world has changed dramatically in a positive way and in a negative way. In a positive way, as women, you have the freedom to be independent. You have the freedom to express what we might call traditional male qualities, purposefulness outside the home, changing the world, running a company, feeling completely self-sufficient and independent. Wow, that's amazing. Men, on the other hand, have the opportunity to spend more time with their children. They have more opportunity to do things like go to the gym and work out. You know, they have an opportunity to be more romantic, you know, to love their partner, to experience a new level of intimacy, which men want, by the way. How do I find emotionally available man? They're just not emotionally available. Well, they're not women. And the problem in every relationship, and I've counseled thousands of people over the years and taught seminars to millions of people, bringing women on stage. Okay, what's the challenge? She says, well, my husband's not emotionally available. Then I work with her for a little while. She's not emotionally available. Women are aware there's emotions inside, but you can't move through them. You're waiting for a man to suddenly be all emotional and vulnerable and tender and loving, and then you'll feel safe to open up. But if a man becomes all emotional and tender and needs this, you get turned off. That he becomes like a child. You can't be sexually attracted to that, and then you become disgusted with it, and then you feel guilty for being disgusted with it because you wouldn't want somebody to be disgusted with your feelings, but it is disgusting.
So not let it go to that extreme, and I guess respect is the biggest thing in that. Also, I feel like creating moments is what it's all about, where you're maximizing the good moments together. And that's what would really help you thrive as well.
Oh, beautifully said, Rupam. You know, these moments, I just want to say biologically, I'm going to take off on that a little bit differently than what you meant. But biologically, there's something that happens when a couple is physically intimate, they're mentally intimate, emotionally intimate. Then what happens is the intimacy through making love is literally a moment of making love. Making love. You generate more love when you make love. And many couples will never be able to make love because they don't have the communication skills where a woman feels, I can fully undress mentally, undress emotionally, and then physically undress. Easy for men to get naked.
Speaking of insecurities, this pandemic has changed our lives, our work culture, and I think the way we will interact with each other, as I feel a lot of us have felt like a mindset shift in this time. So based on your expertise, do you think it'll change the behavior and relationships? And how will we heal from all this and bring harmony to our mind, body, and soul?
I think this whole pandemic gives us an opportunity to reset. And often we don't make a change in our lives until we realize our mistakes. And hopefully some people will realize their mistakes, other people won't. Okay, so what's happening with marriages is divorce levels are dramatically increasing. We already see that. And the people are feeling when it's over and financially they can get a divorce, they want to get a divorce. So some people are just making do, but they're planning their escape. And the problem here is the recognition that we don't have the skills. And if we take the time to learn the skills, a better world will result. Meaning sometimes we have to fail before we're willing to change our ways. So that's one thing. another thing is when it comes to the sickness which is happening, many people disregard taking care of themselves to be healthy. And right now, it's a wake-up call. If you're obese, you're going to die. If you have diabetes, you're going to die. If you have high blood pressure, you're going to die, or at least you're at risk of all those things. And nobody's going to save you. That's a big motivator, because people need to start taking responsibility for their health. This COVID's not going away. They already talked about the vaccination. You're going to keep needing to take it. And other things are going to come. We already know with flu vaccinations that the virus mutates, and they're only so effective. Sometimes only 40% effective with the flu vaccine. That means 60% of the people get flus. So people are waking up now. We're living in a dangerous world in terms of the foods we eat and the way we live our lifestyle. People have to learn to exercise, or they're going to die. You know what? Diabetes I have a friend, in 2 months, he cured his diabetes by changing his diet and taking some supplements that I recommended. People with high blood pressure, all you have to do is practice one of these many forms of meditation proven to lower blood pressure. You could also take beet extract. There's many natural things that will immediately lower your blood pressure without having to take drugs, and regular aerobic exercise, and your blood pressure will go down to normal, and you won't be at risk of dying of some new virus that comes around. The only people who die is the majority of people in our culture are sick, and we're walking around like we're not. So this is a wake-up call. Also, we're in marriages that don't work, and you get a divorce. Yeah, divorces are going to happen. And often after a divorce, people wake up and realize, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing everything I can do to increase an awareness of how to be healthy, as well as how to have successful relationships. But that's the world. It will become a better world after the mess we make. And we're living in a mess right now.
You absolutely nailed it. And that's where our passion for this 180 comes from. It's that desire to get more integrative medicine and really understand that whole mindset. But this was beautiful.
We have the power.
Thank you for sharing. Yes.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And before we say thank you, I'd like to share a story. So every morning I listen to something that puts my mindset in a peak state. So one morning a few months back, I was listening to your talk, and you said, when your heart is open and your authentic self comes forward, and from that place, when a desire is born, the universe aligns all forces to manifest it. So thank you for being that manifestation and being here today on our stage.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gray, for your time and for being an ambassador to 180 Elevate. For those of you in our audience, John goes live on Facebook every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on facebook.com/mars.venus.john.gray. You can find more information about him on his website at marsvenus.com. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you would send that little quote that you said you got from me, that was so nicely worded. Okay, so I don't think
really did. Every day when I literally go in the shower, I have some podcast, and when you said it, I turned around and I opened my phone and I rewind that YouTube thing, and I said, I'm going to manifest him. And I emailed her and it happened. So thank you.
Well, if you would write that quote down the way you said it, I can't imagine I said it as good as you. So I want to read it again and again and again. So if you would send that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really like to meet you both. Okay, have a good day. Thank you.
Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. This last clip was after our interview and is an example of that. He redefined success for me as not only being a subject expert with confidence and certainty, but most importantly, the kindness and presence he had during our conversation. That's what he means by opening your heart.
It's his first time with us, so I didn't want to provoke the controversial elements too much. But next time, let's definitely get in depth about his insights into gender identity. In the meantime, our audience can enjoy the full interview from John's conversation on our YouTube channel, 180 Elevate.
And our first speaker now is a dear friend of mine, Sondra Harmon. She worked as a corporate executive in New York for years and then moved to Vietnam to start a nonprofit serving children and empowering them to be self-sufficient. Sondra is now a life transformation coach and recently moved from New York to Puerto Rico. She thinks from her heart and talks with her eyes. See for yourself if you don't believe me. Here we go, Sondra Harmon.
Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." We're here today at the 180 Elevate Summit to talk about how do we elevate our consciousness? How do we use pain to clean our mind up of those things that are hidden in there, perhaps causing the pain? That's what I want to talk about. And I look at it like there are really three things we have to do. The first thing we need to do is look inward at that pain. Like, acknowledge that it's there. So many times the instinct is to pretend it's not there. Oh, no, I'm fine, I'm good. Right? Kind of sweep it under the rug. Or we might want to blame someone else or blame a circumstance or blame ourselves even. But none of that is really looking inward at the pain. I call that saying ouch. Right? You know, it's like if you stub your toe on a table or something, you go, ouch! Well, you might use some other words, but I like to use the PG version of ouch. It's an interjection. Ouch is an interjection. It's just a word or a sound or some noise that we make to express emotion. And with this, we're expressing the emotion of pain. We don't want to do it. It's like we don't even want to look at the fact we have pain as though somehow that makes us less or makes us too vulnerable or makes us a list of 1,000 reasons that people tell me, why don't you just want to say ouch? Ouch is for us. Saying ouch is saying I care enough about myself to acknowledge that I'm hurting. Now, what's the next step? The next step is to, in the same way that if you had your best friend or your child or your puppy dog who hurt themselves, right? Like, you would hold them. You would love them. And most of all, you wouldn't judge them. And there's all sorts of different processes that you can do. I use one that has you, without judgment, creating a space for yourself to just be with that pain. It takes 15 to 90 seconds only for the pain to work its way through your body. And if you can just focus on giving yourself the love, the compassion, the space with no judgment to let it work its way out, it'll be gone. Now, if you start thinking the thoughts that were triggering the pain in the first place, it's going to start the clock over again. But sit with it. Let it be. Let it exist. Give it love. Give it compassion. Let it be there. So that's the second step. The third is this idea of going into the darkness and making it conscious. There's another quote by Carl Jung, which goes like this: "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The latter procedure, however, is disagreeable and therefore not popular." Do you see it? Do you see that it can be so easy to say, oh, I'm just going to look at light and love and wonderfulness, and not look at what's under it, not look at the pain. And that's why it's hard to hold yourself or even someone else with love while they're in pain. But that's the path through. And darkness isn't necessarily something bad. When I'm using the word darkness, and I'm assuming that's how Carl Jung used it, it's not that it's evil. It's just that it's dark, right? There's no light there. And how do you shine a light on it? And what I have found is that kind of within our mind, those conditions to be hurt, those conditions to feel the pain that we can feel in relationships are already there. And they were there long before the relationship or before that incident even started. What is it? And that's where we need to take a deep breath and dive into that darkness, to dive into what I call the mess. And within that, I'm using mess because it's easy to remember. Within that darkness are meanings. Meanings that we haven't looked at. Meanings that we think might be the only one. Rather than looking at all the possible meanings you could have to say, why your husband forgot your birthday. Right? There could be so many meanings. And are we choosing the ones that cause connection? Or are we choosing the ones that cause disconnection and hurt? That's a choice. And then we can look at the E in mess, the expectations. What do we expect to happen? And expectations are all around us. You can't not have expectations. I'm not one of those people that would say, hey, your life will be so much better if you don't have any expectations. Because you can't. Like, you wouldn't even put your money into a bank if you didn't expect that you'd get the money out. But it's where we get that pain, that hurt, that is a cue to look inward and see, what expectation did we have that's just not true? Did we expect that our friends were going to invite us to a party because we invited them to a party? Because that's what's happened every other time. And all of a sudden when that doesn't happen, we're like, oh, ouch! Don't they like me anymore? I know I'm giving simple examples, but this works on simple examples and the most devastating examples too. So examine those expectations, because when something happens that doesn't match your expectation, it's your opportunity to make your mind, to make the things that are possible in your mind match reality. Otherwise, you're living in a fantasy. The third one is for stories. What are the stories that you're using as you go through life? And most importantly, what's the character you play? Do you play the victim? Do you play the villain? And really the villain is kind of like a hero, which we're going to talk about next, except the villain is out to get revenge. Then you have the hero who is going to transform. Victims don't change. They just get victimized. Villains actually transform. Something happens and they transform into somebody that wants to get revenge, that wants to get payback, that wants somebody else to hurt the way they hurt. Heroes feel or see pain and they transform. And isn't that what we're all doing? And that's what we can do with pain. We can be the hero of our own story and transform. And then the last one is the guide. And that's what all these amazing speakers here at this summit, that 180 Elevate is putting together for us, our guides. The guides are there to show us the way because they've been there themselves. So that's the third one. M.E.S. The last S is strategy. Strategy is what's the predisposition we have to control? Where are we trying to go? And who is our friend and who is our enemy? And too many times we turn our partners, our friends, our family into the enemy. And the way you can tell Who is the enemy? Is who is it you're trying to control? Who is it you're trying to change? And if you look at those four things really deeply, in that darkness of your mind, the transformation that's possible is amazing. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? Take this opportunity today with all these amazing guides and use that to look inward and awaken.
Thank you so much, Sondra. You had me at your very first sentence. There's no consciousness without pain. My own personal fertility journey was long and sometimes unbearing, and someone wise once advised, the bigger the suffering, the bigger the peace. I guess it translates into many other idioms such as no pain, no gain, or the first novel, Truth of Buddhism, existence is suffering. But on a lighter note, there's always a rainbow after the storm. And I am a living example of that with two beautifully blessed identical twin boys. Double the trouble, but definitely double the fun. On the heels of that, I would like to introduce you to our next guest speaker, a globally renowned business coach who will teach you how to master your own mind. Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor McGregor.
Hey everybody, it's Coach Trevor McGregor, and I am blessed and grateful to be here with you today. I want to start off by thanking Rupam and Nikki for having me come in and present to the 180 Elevate community. And let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen here. And the name of my topic today is Mindset Mastery, how to truly elevate your identity and show up in your highest and best self. And I want to start out with a couple of questions. Are you starting to feel a bit disconnected from your life, either personally or professionally because of the pandemic? Are you someone who's been asking, is this ever going to stop so that we can get back to the way things were? Well, if you said yes to any or all of those questions, I want you to know that you're not alone. And what if I told you that there are just a few simple steps that I could teach you today so that you could turn it around 180 degrees and head in a better direction? Would that interest you? Because my outcome with you today is to show you that there's a new way of thinking and behaving that will definitely help you to elevate in 2021. And again, I'm Coach Trevor McGregor. I'm a master coach, mentor, and business strategist. I'm a coach to Fortune 500 executives, business owners, doctors, lawyers, real estate investors, and professional athletes. I've done over 25,000 coaching sessions. And yes, that's an actual statistic. I'm an international professional keynote speaker, a real estate investor, an impact investor, and I live with my wife, Lisa, and our three amazing sons up here in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I worked in corporate, and then I went to work for this man. You know Tony Robbins, and I was one of his top master platinum coaches on the planet. From there, I started my own private coaching practice, Trevor McGregor International. And again, I do a lot of keynote speaking like this all over the world, including the US, Canada, the UK, Europe, Costa Rica, and even as far away as Australia. So what's that point? Well, all of that has given me a truly incredible perspective on what causes people to stay stuck and also what allows people to elevate and truly live an extraordinary life. And you know what the number one thing was that I continually saw that helped people to elevate to new heights? Well, it was owning their highest identity. So let's talk about that, because today you're going to learn how to take your identity to a whole new level, why your mind is like a fertile garden, how to identify your emotional home, something called character trait integration. I think you'll like that, and how to build what I call a better belief table. So again, your identity is what you think and feel and believe about who you are. And another way to put it is your identity is your story. So are you a victim to this year, or are you a victor moving towards victory? Because the choice is truly yours. Is your glass half empty or is it half full? Because your mind is like a fertile garden and your thoughts are the seeds. So are you planting powerful, positive thoughts about who you are? or negative thoughts about who you are? And what kind of actions might be helping you or hindering you? I mean, come on. Perhaps you're spending countless hours on Facebook comparing yourself to others. Or perhaps you're someone addicted to your smartphone and you're always on your device. Sound familiar? Well, I hear that most people have too many weeds, right? And it's really time to rip them out because we don't want weeds in your belief garden. And there's a formula that you must know if you're going to cultivate a new identity. And the acronym is TFEMAR. So let's go through that right now, because the T stands for you having a thought about who you are. And that thought leads to a what? A feeling. And the feeling leads to an emotion. So if your thoughts lead to feelings and feelings to emotions, your emotions will either motivate you to get into action or keep you from getting into action. But you got to get into action to yield the result that you want. So why is this important? Well, if you want to get a certain result, let's go backwards. You got to take action. How do you take action? By getting motivated. How do you get motivated? By elevating your emotions, right? And how do you do that? Well, you got to, have a certain feeling, and that feeling starts with a thought about who you are. Because we also all live in what we call a dominant emotional home, right? And the first one is what we call a negative emotional home. And it's like an old shack. And I don't want you to live in that one. I want you to move into this one called a positive emotional home. It's like having a beautiful mansion. Because if you're in the negative shack, you've got feelings and emotions around doubt, fear, worry, and anxiety. So let's put a for sale sign on that house and move into the mansion where you've got more courage, you've got determination, you've got possibility, and yes, you've got optimism, because the choice is truly yours. Because your identity is everything, right? And you're either showing up as a superhero, kind of like Superman, we call that your higher self, or you're showing up like this guy, a super villain, and that's your lower self, or, kind of like a dark villain. Because ultimately you have to ask, am I showing up in my higher self or my lower self? Because that's going to make a difference in terms of how you show up. And you can also do what we call some character trait integration. Yes, character trait integration. And that's really that when you're looking to make a decision, you can also ask yourself, what would name do? And you get to fill in the blank on somebody that you admire, somebody that inspires you, right? You might ask, well, what would Tony Robbins do? Or what would Elon Musk do? Or what would Oprah Winfrey do? Or what would Richard Branson do? Or what about Steve Jobs? Or even this gem of a human being? What would Dr. Rupam Khanna do? Because she is spectacular. And now I'm going to help you to build what I call a better belief table. And you're going to love this. So I want you to picture this table with 6 legs underneath it. And the top of the table represents your beliefs, and the legs underneath it are the references that hold up your beliefs. So I'll say that again. The top of the table is your belief system. The legs are the references that hold up your beliefs, right? And so let's check in, because if you've got that first table leg where you want to elevate yourself, but you go, wow, Trevor, I'm too old to make any changes. That's not a very good reference to have underneath your belief table. Or how about table leg number 2? I don't deserve anything more. Really? How about number 3? Well, at least I have a job, right? Or how about number 4? I should just be happy with what I have. What if that was your 4th table leg? Or this one, I'm comfortable, so why risk anything? Or you go over to the 6th table leg and it's, well, it's really not that bad. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is not a great table to live on the top of, because if you work or play from the top of that table, you're not going to be able to elevate. You're going to collapse. Does that make sense? Because we all tend to rationalize. And when we break that word into 2, we tell ourselves rational lies. And I don't want you to lie to yourself anymore, because I want you to ask a better question like, is that really true? Is that belief really true? Right? Because I'm here to tell you that the only thing stopping you is the story you tell yourself. So it's time to stop letting the old identity drive and bring in the new identity. And the way to building your new and better belief table starts with you asking better questions. So let's go Byron Katie on this. I mean, What's the story I tell myself to justify that belief? That's a great question. Or again, is that really true? Or who would I be without that belief or story? Or how can I completely alter or stop this old belief or story? And my favorite, what's a new belief or story that serves me better? Because I want to hand you a saw, because folks, it's time to cut off those weak table legs. Let's cut them off and let's replace them with what I call big, thick pillars of support. Look at these columns and get a picture of what taking these and shoving them underneath your belief table looks like, because we're going to do that right now. Because if these are all 6 of your beliefs, right, what we want to do is ask, is that really true? And attach what we call new references to the belief, right? Because let's take that first big, thick pillar of support and shove it under number 1, which is if you say, I'm too old to make any changes, we replace it with, wow, I'm still young and vibrant. Or what about number 2? Let's shove a big, thick pillar under this one. I don't deserve anything more becomes abundance is my birthright. Or how about table leg number 3? Well, at least I have a job. Let's cut that off and put in a big, thick pillar of support that you're ready for your next adventure. Or let's go over to table leg number 4. I should just be happy with what I have. And that becomes, I'm so excited about moving forward. Another I am statement, right? Or table leg number 5, I'm comfortable, so why risk anything? Well, that becomes the universe will support me, right? And number 6, it's really not that bad, becomes good is the enemy of great. And for anyone that's here and wants to elevate themselves and take them to a new level, you've got to believe that that's true. Because I'm here to tell you it's time to draw a line in the sand, people, right? And you got to ask, what is it that you're continually saying to yourself about your identity that you are no longer going to tolerate anymore? I mean, once you draw that line in the sand and you step over it, you create a new you and allows you to elevate to the next level. And there's a timeless quote that says, whether you think you can't or you think you can, you're right. That comes from the late, great Henry Ford. So as I get ready to wrap up here today, if you know that you're at that point in your life where you know that there's something bigger that you're meant to be, do, or have, right? And if you're someone who knows that there's something stirring in your soul and that this is on your heart and it's waiting to be unleashed, when would now be a good time to do it, right? Because if you're ready to elevate to a whole new level in your life in areas like your career, your finances, your relationships, your health, your spirituality, and even your fulfillment, I'm here to tell you that those levels are available to you right now. Because I want you to picture on the screen of your mind what your ideal life could look like, knowing that you're ready to claim it by stepping into the next version of your best self to live your life at the highest levels possible. And from that higher identity, what would be different for you upon waking up each morning? I mean, where would you go? What would you love to do? And who would you love to do it with? Because I want you to adopt an identity of possibility. That's right. Rip off the I am from impossible to create possible, because I'm here to tell you that anything is possible when you elevate your identity. And so last but not least, I want to give you a 30-day Elevate challenge. That is, take the next 30 days and commit to what you have learned here today. Carve out time each and every day to work on your identity and your belief tables. Because when you take extreme ownership over this, and when you're defiantly committed to this stuff, I guarantee that you will achieve success, live a better life, and elevate more than you ever thought possible. And my final quote from the day comes from this great man. This is Mr. Jim Rohn, who was also Tony Robbins' coach. And he said, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And I just love that. I'll say it again. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. That comes from Jim Rohn. And my friends, it all starts with you elevating your identity. So I want to thank you again for having me present. Here's wishing you all an amazing day, and we'll catch up to you during the live portion. Bye for now.
Trevor is actually my life coach. I reached out to him for gaining clarity on how to structure the vision of 180 and bring it to reality. He brought out the why, which helped me shift my perspective, and once that clarity came, the how just followed. At times, I would just want him to give me a manual on how to do things, but he would make me dig deeper within my own self to find my answers and help me become a better version of myself, rather than just copy and paste his beliefs. Now for our next speaker, Dr. Cathleen Gerenger, who shares our vision of changing the mindset of standard reactive medicine to proactive medicine. Dr. Cathleen has developed a systematic protocol that addresses all aspects of health and wellness. She teaches injury prevention, how to manage stress and anxiety, and how to maintain peak performance. Here she is, Cathleen Gerenger.
Mind medicine. Balance your mind, balance your life. The power of the mind. I want to play a little game with you. Let's test this concept out. The concept of mind medicine. I want you to stop what you're doing and tune into my voice. I want you to stretch out your arms, both arms, as wide as you can. Keep your arms stretched out. Now I want you to feel that right arm. Close your eyes and keep your eyes closed. I want you to focus on that right arm. I want you to tune into my voice and repeat after me out loud. Right arm, grow longer. Keep your eyes closed. Think about your right arm. Think and focus and feel that right arm growing longer. Now, bring both arms together. What is your right arm feeling like? Amazing, isn't it? When you feel happy or joyful, your body releases dopamine and serotonin. These two neurotransmitters are in the brain. Dopamine is known as our happiness neurotransmitter. Dopamine is responsible for reward, and it is involved more with driven behavior. For example, if you have a to-do list and you write those items down, once when you check that little check mark, you release the dopamine, serotonin. Serotonin is our good mood. Serotonin is responsible for a feeling of worthiness or a sense of belonging, and also it helps with our self-esteem. Together, these two neurotransmitters, they create a desirable, balanced brain, which leads to the feeling of a balanced life. With our modern day lives, more and more of us are prone to anxiety, sleep disturbances, fatigue, and also depression. Pharmaceutical companies are eager to adjust these imbalances with a pill. My solution has always been, let's try the non-invasive route first, such as behavioral changes. Changes in behavior can improve your brain chemistry, keep you happy, and will create a ripple effect to those that are around you. So mind medicine or brain medicine, By focusing on small daily lifestyle behavioral changes, your brain will secrete these brain chemicals naturally, which will allow you to have a more balanced brain. And when we have a balanced brain, our life seems a lot more balanced. Thank you so much. Let's stay connected. And let's try to elevate each other. So make sure you follow me at Rajner Wellness on Instagram and also at Dr. Cathleen. You can also be part of our community, part of our tribe at 180 Elevate. It is a great organization where we all come together and share stories that can help each other and really elevate each other. Let's release our own natural dopamine and serotonin. Be well.
Thank you, Cathleen. As the saying goes, mind, brain, body denotes that we are integrated beings. That our minds, including our ability to think, remember, reason, plan, and feel, are not separate from the rest of our bodies, or indeed from the environments that we live in. But one question I remained curious about, Cathleen, what about our diet to get to a balanced brain, hence balanced body? I feel like we can get into that a little bit more. Amongst other things with our speakers thus far. Cathleen, let's start with you to continue the conversation around a healthy brain with so much info around our diets. If you were to really condense key learnings, what are some key nutritional tips you would like to share with our audience? Welcome, Trevor, Cathleen, and Sondra. Kathleen, go ahead.
Yes, nutrition plays a huge role in our brain function. And the reason why is our gut health, our microbiome, is where the serotonin, the dopamine, all these neurotransmitters are made. So key foods, such as foods rich in brain functioning food, like the good fats, like avocado, pistachio nuts, all those good key foods really help to support our brain function.
Perfect. Thank you. And I would like to bring on our guest directly from the audience. Who do we have to ask the next question?
Hi guys, Nikki, Rupam, congratulations on this amazing initiative.
Thank you. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And you can.
So I've been taking copious notes, and Trevor, this one's for you. You know, I'm an internal optimist. So the piece I'm trying to figure out here is how do I know I'm missing that positive identity? Like, you know, how do I get to that point of understanding, am I neutral, am I negative? So that's kind of part A of the question. And part B is, you know, as we go through this 30-day challenge, what if you kind of take that positive mindset, you put all of it in it, 30 days later, you just don't feel like you're coming out of it where you hope to. What do you do next?
Well, first off, great questions. I mean, those are phenomenal questions, and it's great to have you and obviously this entire tribe out tonight. So again, I find that, you know, to kick things off in terms of answering that, is that most people are in a negative identity right now. They're in what I call a contractive identity. So for people, you know, that are out there that are feeling a little bit better or feeling inspired, they're starting to get into, you know, an expansive energy, right? So if you're really doing the work, because you know what you want, why you want it, and who you need to be to get it, but you're still not getting those results, the first thing I get you to do is to discipline your disappointment. I'll say that again. You got to learn to discipline your disappointment, right? Because I'm here to tell you that God's delays are not God's denials. That as long as you stay defiantly committed to knowing what you want, why you want it, and who you need to be to get it, you can continue to move towards it. It's almost like an analogy of water boils, right, at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So you might be at 207, 208, 210, maybe 211, but if you just keep applying, you know, what we've talked about here over those 30 days and beyond, and you stay defiantly committed to what you want, you too can get to where you want to go. Because I'm telling you, It's available to all of us. Does that make sense?
It does. Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well said, Trevor. Who's our next guest?
Hi guys, this is Vivek.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Great.
Hi Sondra.
Hi,
I'm going to bug you. Wonderful talk, by the way. Thank you so much for that wisdom that you provided.
Oh, you're
My
welcome.
question comes to you on your strategy piece. I really like that, and I was hoping you can elaborate on that. You know, as a physician, mental resilience is so important, not only for myself, my staff, but I try to stress that to the patients all the time. And it seems like that's something hard for them to become consistent on. So how can we use that strategy you talked about towards mental resilience? Because it's such an important aspect of our lives. So if you can elaborate on that, I'd really appreciate that.
No, I'd be happy to. So skipping right to the word resilience, it's a little bit different than strategy, but if you look at resilience, it's really from the physical world perspective is can an object, right, how resilient something is can it absorb a shock, absorb that energy, dissipate it and go back to where it started? Can it get back to being what it was by taking the shock and releasing it? And really, if that's what I love about this question you just asked me, is that's the whole point of what do you do with pain? You know, and I have my ways of doing it, and there's so many ways. Trevor had some great ways of looking at it, but it's all about, can you take a shock? Can you take an impact, a hurt, a pain, an ouch, as I say it, and release it? Because too many times we look at the word resilient as being, there's another definition of it, which is something along the lines of like strong, right? And the idea of strong can be, you know, I'm rigid and I'm not moving and I'm just going to be right here like this, and no matter what you do, you can't affect me. That's not actually very resilient. Because as they were saying, I moved to Puerto Rico, you know, the next hurricane that comes, it's just going to knock it all down. Whereas the palm trees, you know, they just kind of flow with it. They're just flowing. They're going back when the hurricane's over their back. Or even if they don't have leaves, they're still growing. They're doing what they do. So to me, that's the point of resilience, is getting your patients into that mindset of coming back to who they are, no matter what shocks they go through, and to get out of their minds the idea be disappointed, I'm never going to be disgusted, right? John Gray was talking about this idea of, you know, we get disgusted at ourselves being disgusted. Like, no, you get disgusted at your husband. You're like, let it go. Anyway, did that help? Did that answer your question?
I'm going to use that and steal it from you.
You can steal anything from me, Vivek.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
And do we have any more questions from the audience? Awesome. Hello.
Hi, congratulations, Nikki and Rupam. What a great initiative. And I absolutely loved what Trevor just said about God's denial is not a no. I've been on my journey of my own, and it just like resonated so well. Amazing. But I have a question actually, Trevor, for you and Sondra. Hearing you both speak, it makes me almost want to intertwine both the thought processes. Sondra, you're mentioning to process the pain and the emotions associated with negativity, while Trevor is asking us to almost look the other way towards pure positivity. What insights do you both have from each other's approach?
Sondra, would you like to go first, my friend?
Yeah, sure thing. Because, you know, that can be something that is confusing. You know, you look at paths, and we're talking about enlightenment, right? We're looking, that's what we're talking about here on 180 Elevate. How do we elevate our consciousness? And there's so many paths. There really, really are. And some of them can actually seem like they're exactly the opposite, but they aren't. So for example, one of the things that I like about looking into the pain and releasing it is that you're heading it directly, you're like forward facing, like looking right at it. Like you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, this is what's going on. I see you. I love you. You know, does it spark joy? No, I'm going to let you go. And even with like affirmations, positive affirmations, which is kind of the opposite of what I do, there's still always this, like something's going to come up. Like, oh, I'm strong, I'm powerful. Oh, wait, maybe I'm not. You recognize it. Just that exercise in itself brings up the negative, and you'll acknowledge it even though you might not be aware of it, because the next word out of your mouth is, I'm strong, I'm powerful. So it's just a different way of getting to the same place is how I look at it. But that's me. I'm curious to have you answer, Trevor.
Well, thank you very much. I loved your answer. Go ahead, Rupam. Go ahead.
I wanted to say on that, Sondra, isn't that something we talked about one time where it says you have to feel it to heal it? So you actually have to feel it. You just can't put it under the carpet or brush it under the rug. That's the kind of thing that, just wanted to add that little thing to it.
And I love that, Rupam. Thank you. And Sondra, I love your answer. And it's absolutely true. The last thing we want to do is, find mold in the house and then wallpaper over the mold. That's just not cool. So really, it's a great question. And I think that my mentor and my coach, Tony Robbins, said that sometimes you got to get clear on what's not working to get clarity on what is going to work or who you need to be to go after it. Because I truly believe, and Rupam and I have talked about this before, that the number of laws that govern this beautiful blue planet, like the law of gravity, the law of compensation, the law of circulation, they're laws we can't argue with. And one of those is the law of polarity. And if you're not familiar with the law of polarity decrees that you can't have one thing that's negative without the polar opposite also being available to you. I'll give you some examples. You can't have day without night. You can't have black without white. You can't have masculine energy without feminine energy. You can't have the North Pole without the South Pole. Therefore, you can't only have solutions without having challenges. And you can't have challenges without there being solutions. So I believe that any time that we face pain, don't waste the pain. It's the universe's way of getting you to grow. It's the universe's way of getting you to ask better questions. And sometimes by focusing on that pain, it literally brings the polarity to you to get up, dust yourself off, and start moving towards what you want by knowing, what do I really, really want? Why do I really, really want it? And who do I need to be to get it? Because the more you stay focused on that, you literally create that intention that leads to a vibration. And when you create that vibration, folks, leads to a frequency. It's kind of like, what Cathleen was talking about earlier. So if the intention leads to a vibration and the vibration to a frequency, we then emit that up into the universe, up to spirit, up to God, up to infinite intelligence. And then we start manifesting whatever healing modalities we need, because it doesn't matter if it's in your career, your finances, your relationships, your health, it's available to all of us. So it's a long answer to a beautiful question that no matter what you're going through right now, apply the law of polarity and step into the intention, vibration, and frequency. Take that intelligent and inspired action that you can take, and you'll soon find yourself on the other side of it.
Fantastic. So process the pain and then focus on the positive elements that come out of it to get to the other side. So it's almost a culmination of Sondra and Trevor's presentation. Well, thank you so much, folks. That's all the time we have for today. I would like to personally thank Sondra, Trevor, and Cathleen for sharing their insights. It was an honor working with you. And now I would like to take this opportunity to talk a little about our silent auction, which is live right now, in partnership with Brighter Children, Sports for Support, and Fair Chance for Special Needs. Go onto our website, thank you. Go onto our website, 180elevate.com, click on the auction button, and donate tax-free to spread your cheer for the holidays. Thank you for your support. So now let's take a mini break. And by that, I mean a beautiful experiential activity designed to help you heal and relax, amongst other things. Please join us as we go down a meditation journey with internationally recognized sound practitioner, Serena Malkani.
Perfect.
Ramadasa Sase Sohang Ramadasa Sase Sohang Ramadasa Sase Sohang Ramadasa Sase Sohang Sase Sohang Sase Sohang. Good evening, everyone. My name is Serena Malkani, and I am here to share with you a powerful message about your own voice. Your voice is the only thing that's always with you, and in fact, it's how we're all connecting today. And in these times where we're getting so many frequencies, so much overstimulation happening, you can use your voice as a vehicle to release energy and come back to balance. So I'm hoping today you'll join me in a little session. My goal is to leave you with a way that you can do this from home and in your own time, and practice this whenever you're feeling a little out of balance. So if everyone will go ahead and just take a moment to adjust your posture and soften your eyes and just pay attention to your breath. Take a deep inhale and just exhale it out. Let your breath be just as it is. Deep inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, I'd like you to make a snake-like sound on your exhale. So take a deep breath and then make a sound just like this. Beautiful. Take a deep breath. Crunch up your shoulders really high. Let all the tense come out. And again, go ahead and release on this snake-like sound. One more deep, deep breath. And release. On your next inhale, I'd like you to meet your breath with any sort of sound. It could be a sigh, an E, an ah, doesn't matter. Take a breath and let your voice come out. Sa. One more time. Take a deep breath and let the sound come out. Sa. Beautiful. One last time. And this time I want you to think about everything that's causing you stress or tension in your life right now and take it in with this in-breath. Feel it all. Feel everything. And then really release it with your voice. Sa. And I want you to go ahead and join me on a little hum, just like this. Beautiful. Coming in and out as you need. 3 more, just like that. one. Today I'm going to teach us a seed syllable from the Bon meditation, which is what modern Tibetan Buddhism is based off today. There's 5 main energy centers in the body according to this tradition, and today I'm going to focus on our root, our secret chakra, our inner knowing, our intuition. This seed syllable is simply D-Z-A, pronounced to make za. So we're going to go ahead and take a few inhales and just release this frequency as za together. Deep inhale. Za. Beautiful breathing as you need to. Za. One more time, just like that. Za. And for our last exercise, I want you to channel the little girl or boy that is inside of you, the one that likes to play. And we'll just play with this seed syllable a little bit. For me, it might sound like this. Zat, za, zat, za, za, za. Yeah, let's play. Zat, za, zat, za, za, za. It's about releasing frequency through your body, right? We're always listening to things. This is how we release. A couple times, just play with me. Zat, za, zat, za, za, za. Za, za, za. You see, it doesn't matter if you're a good singer or a bad singer. You can release energy this way. We'll just finish with 3 zas in the center. How you feel it. Deep inhale. Za. And last one. Take a deep breath. Meet me on that snake. Beautiful. 2 more times, just like that. And last one. Bring your hands together. Create your own heat. We are our own healers. And just bring this right to your heart. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that your voice is really the only thing that's always with you. Think about the ways that you use your voice, whether it's writing or talking to friends or doing events like this. And think about the ways that you're muting your voice and where you want your authentic self to come more through. Use these centering exercises to help you get there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Serena.
Amazing.
Very nice.
180 is an intention to be a light in these times of darkness, vulnerability, and uncertainty. It is an intention to lead the way and simplify the pillars of the mind, body, and soul. I've been privileged for the opportunities, time, and resources that enabled me to work extensively on my own wellness and personal growth journey. I've been blessed to be born in the land of legends and spirituality, and now live in this land of opportunities. Also, I've been privileged to be doing the work I love, with the people I love, on a daily basis, and come home to a beautiful family. Realizing that the glass ceiling I reached at some point could only be shattered by sharing what we learn with others. So it is an intention to break this very glass ceiling while aspiring to create a network of people who want that more in life and become better versions of themselves, where humanity can learn, grow, and give while developing the power of our mind as individuals and as a community. Compassion, as I understand now, is not a relationship between unequal. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity and serve from a place of humility. Mahatma Gandhi said, "I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet." That's how we shift our perspectives, which will elevate our life and in turn elevate our consciousness. Let us open our hearts to what truly matters.
I hope you're feeling more relaxed. And now that I've taken you to the depths of calm, it's time to jolt you back into energy, raise your vibration, and get right back to feeling your awesome self. And I can think of no one better to do that than the $1 Million Hall of Fame member and our 180 ambassador, Emily Vavra.
Hello, it's Emily here. I am so excited to be a part of the 180 virtual summit event and share with you some incredible insight on how you can get out of a slump in your life if you've ever had one. I don't know, maybe you're cool, maybe you're always on the up and up, but if you're anything like me, you know, I have been through so many slumps in my life, especially when I started my entrepreneur journey a decade ago. I found myself at a complete and total crossroads and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I just felt so low, right? And maybe some of you can relate. Maybe this year has been a little shift for you, a pivot in your life, a pivot in the way you build your business, a pivot in how you do things. And, you know, this was me. This was my life 10 years ago. Before I started my business, I was at that crossroads. I had been in a horrible relationship that left me just feeling completely deflated. I didn't know what I wanted to do professionally. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And I just had that moment, and I always say it's like a Jesus take the wheel moment where you're like, enough is enough. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not really sure. Like, how am I going to get out of this? And, you know, for you, maybe it's a relationship loss or a gain, the way I like to look at it. Or maybe it's a shift in your business and the way you're doing things, or trying something new, or, you know, finding a new health routine or whatever it is. And, you know, we all have these moments in our lives where we can either be broken from it, the loss of a job, loss of relationship, whatever, or we can be broken open and go, okay, what am I going to do from this? What does this mean for me? What can I learn from this? Who can I become because of this? How can I change? How can I grow? How can I shift my energy? And that's what I did 10 years ago at the age of 23. I made a decision and I started to learn simple tools and principles to increase my energy, increase my frequency. Now today, you know, I'm fortunate, blessed to speak in front of thousands of people, lead massive teams, have a huge organization, love what I do. But I am just on a mission to share with you these simple things that I do day to day to keep my frequency high. And you may be thinking, what is she talking about? Frequency. Well, you may have heard the term vibration, right? Raise your vibration, good vibes. You know, frequency is really, you know, I like to look at it is your true work in life is to keep raising your frequency, because everything in your life is the result of your frequency. It truly is the frequency that you're on. And so what that really means is when you have high energy, and I'm not really speaking about yelling and jumping up and down. Yes, those things are great, right? I love to do that from time to time, but when you have good energy, right? Have you ever met someone that just has great energy? You go to lunch with them, you meet them in the office, you bump into them, maybe it's just in passing and you're like, I don't know what they do or who they are. I just love it. I love what they're about. That's how you want to be. That's how I strive to live my life day to day. And yes, of course, I have horrible moments, but they're moments and they're not days anymore, and they're not weeks anymore, and they're not months anymore, and they're not years anymore, because I've learned how to shift my frequency. I've learned how to get out of a slump. So I love to look at this emotional guidance scale by Abraham Hicks. And, I really, really want you to take a look at this and have, really base understanding of our feelings, right? And we all have all these emotions all day long, right? You look at the lower frequency emotions of fear that, especially in 2020, a lot of us have lived in, or maybe most of your life, you are living in fear. Jealousy, right? You're in a certain business and you see other people crushing it, but you seem to be stuck. You have some anger issues against people in your life, what they did to you, and you just blame them, revenge, worry, disappointment. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're bored in your current life. That can happen where you do something for a while and you're like, this is boring. I kind of need a new challenge. Or maybe you're overwhelmed. These are all low vibes. And then we start to go upward, right? Let's look at, when we're positive. You're on this summit right now. It's like the good vibes are flowing. You're learning, you're growing, you're pouring into yourself. There's enthusiasm, there's passion. Is there passion in what you do? In finding passion in the small things, joy, love, appreciation, expressing gratitude. So all day long, we're oscillating between the upward spiral and the downward spiral. And the key is to recognize what is pushing me down, and it's to mitigate that, and it's to try to really live in an upward spiral of emotion. And people that live like that, people that have awareness, live a charged life, live a more fulfilled life, live a more joyful life. They attract more into their life. And so little key things that I do to stay on the upward spiral, and believe me, I work at this every single day, constantly, are the following. So number one, practicing gratitude. Right? This is so huge. You cannot feel fear or anger while feeling gratitude at the same time. So just, take a moment. If you're feeling frustrated, you get out of a meeting, you're feeling overwhelmed, to just sit and say, what am I grateful for right now? And just shout it out loud or say it to yourself. And you'll notice your heart starts to swell. You'll notice those negative emotions subside. Number two, love. Being in love, of course, is amazing. Loving people, it's the highest vibrating state we can be in. And it has the power to pull you out of a funk all day long. So calling someone that you love, expressing love, I love to start my day. And my first mentor taught me this, and just starting my day with, texting 3 people that I love, that I'm grateful for, and just telling them why. And it just makes my energy so high, makes me feel so good. Number 3, being generous. And it's not always being generous just with money. Yeah, that's great if you can do that, but it's with your time, generosity. What can you do for someone else? How can you reach down and pull someone else up? It's going to totally shift your state. Number 4, forgive. We could have a whole seminar on forgiveness, but when we blame other people, it's a low energy. So I just trade those expectations for appreciations. I've had to learn how to do this my whole life and not expect so much of people. And I just appreciate them. And I'm just generally surprised when people do awesome things, and that doesn't let me down so much. So just releasing that. Number 5, eating great food. It's vital, and it's not just to look good, right? Yes, we look at our skin is better, our gut is better, everything operates better. But when you have nutrient-rich foods, your prana-like foods, you're actually vibrating higher. So when I'm on the road, when I'm here in LA, it doesn't matter where I am, it's a priority for me to eat clean, to be healthy, so I can keep my energy high. And then moving on to that, keeping energy high would definitely be doing meditation, and start out with an app. If you are freaked out by this, I know that I'm a busybody. It's like sometimes hard for me to quiet my mind, but meditation, breath work, I've had so many breakthroughs doing breath work. It's so key. And then some more tips for you would to be, number 7, reduce that alcohol, the toxins, have your glass of wine here or there. But if you're somebody that drinks every single day, like, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm going to suggest that you just change those habits to maybe once a week, twice a week. I find that it's a downer for me, and I want to stay frequency high. Number 8, think positive thoughts. What you think about becomes your future, that each thought you create, right? And so, this may seem super elementary, but do you actually think about what you're thinking about? Really? And I was working with a client on this, and I just said, set a timer on your phone twice a day to go off and say, what am I thinking about right now? What have I been thinking about the last hour? Has my thoughts been filled with worry and I'm making assumptions about things that aren't true? Or am I filled with gratitude and what I'm creating, right? And what I'm declaring for my future. If you declare nothing, you create nothing. You're in charge of that. Number 9, consume high vibe music. I love spiritual music. I love good music that just uplifts my spirits. That's how I connect to source, to God, every single day. I plug that in, good books, movies, all that stuff. I don't watch the news hardly ever. At all, because it's a downer for me. It fills me with all the low frequency vibrations. It totally does. Number 10, surround yourself with beauty. And this could even look like you cleaning up your house, cleaning out your closet, cleaning up all the stuff. I love to have a showroom house. And, yes, I like the way it looks, but I also love even more the way it makes me feel. It's clear. There's not a bunch of stuff everywhere. There's not clutter that's bogging me down. And then number 11, be outside as much as you can. Take a break from our smartphones that we're on, our Zooms that we're on, our technology. Just connect with you, connect with your heart, connect with source, connect with that energy. And that's where peace is. That's where true joy, peace is. For sure. And so if you're not grounding, if you're not taking off your shoes, and some of you may be watching this in cold climates, I get it. I'm originally from Minnesota. I live in SoCal now, but there was once a time in my life where I went through the winters. Do what you can. Sun's out, go take a walk, bundle up. It's vital. It's so key for you in your health. And number 12, make sure that your relationships are rich. Sometimes we're in a slump because of who we're hanging out with, because you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so be continually asking yourself that, does this relationship benefit my life? Is there an equal energy exchange? Do I feel rich from this relationship? Or do I feel like I need to take a shower after I'm with this person? So there's been trade-offs for me. I have let go of relationships, and instead I'd rather be by myself because it affects me that much. And I'm sure it does you too. So these are just 12 simple tips, my friends, where you can raise your frequency and you can shift. And when this happens, when you start to practice these things, you raise your frequency and unleash the leader within you. Whether you're leading your family, which we all are leading ourselves, we're leading our family, you're leading a business, you're creating an online environment, a charge, a community. We're all leaders here. And it's our responsibility to make this place this earth better than we found it, is my belief. And the best way we can do that is by first leading ourselves. And it's a fight every single day to raise your frequency, to be the person that walks in the room and everybody can feel or see that they're a little bit different. They vibe a little higher, right? They are just more conscious, more aware. It's a fight, but it is so worth it, because on the other side of that, you have more joy, you're more fulfilled, you attract more in your life. If you're in business, people want to do business with you. They don't even know what you do. They just want to be around you. And that, my friends, is living the charged life. So thank you so much. Such an honor to connect with you for this time, and enjoy the rest of the event. God bless.
Emily, this was just pure joy to see you work things out so passionately. This whole idea of vibrational energy we put out in the universe is so important for everyone to understand in today's fast-paced, success-oriented world. I must admit, frankly, I recently went through a postpartum slump as motherhood consumed my life, and that too with 2 babies at once. The once vibrant Nikki felt dull, mundane, and how dare I, after getting everything I wished for. It was you, Rupam, and our idea of 180 Elevate that brought back the positive vibrations in my life and got me out of my slump. So cheers to our partnership as we embark on this yin-yang dynamic together to figure out this entrepreneurship to elevate everyone's life through 180. And speaking of entrepreneurship, how do we stay energized through the journey to our ultimate goals? Let's find out with our performance coach for Fortune 500 CEOs and our very own 180 ambassador, Jake Havron.
Have you ever had it where 5 p.m. comes around and you know you have so much more to do, so much more projects to get done, you're trying to accomplish life, but man, it just hits you where you start to get a little brain fog. You start to do the busy things instead of the productive things in your life? Or what about, let's switch this up. Have you ever been out back when we were obviously allowed to be anywhere and everywhere at any time, and someone walked through the door and you didn't even know who this person was, but automatically you just got this sense of this person must be something. They look confident. They give off this energy to them. If this is something you could resonate, then in these next 10 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to defeat that brain fog and to also build that confidence as we work on achieving entrepreneur vitality. My name is Jake Havron. I'm a health and success coach, and I am beyond grateful to be able to be here right now in this time of year where we're connecting all around the world at 180 Elevate. You know, us disruptive innovators. I know you're out there. I know you're watching right now. Us entrepreneurs, us like-minded thinkers that want to do something greater. I'm here to be able to talk about how to achieve entrepreneur vitality. Because if you can increase your vitality, you can build your confidence and attain peak performance, even just 1% better each day, you are going to be able to have bigger missions you accomplish. You're going to be able to impact more people's lives. And most importantly, you're going to be able to hold the promises that you keep to yourself, because you're going to have that frequency and energy within you. So if you don't have it yet, grab your notes, pen and paper. I'm going to keep this real simple for you and very strategic, because I understand where you are and I'm going to give you direct solutions to where you want to be. Is that cool with you guys? Give me a head nod if that's cool, right? Even though I'm not there live with you, I'll be seeing you at the Q&As. I want to keep this interactive, okay? So first off, let's talking about increasing your vitality. You've probably heard of the word vitality, and you're probably questioning what that even really means, and is that important for you? Whether you're a small business owner, you could be a Fortune 500 C-level executive listening to this, or even a national world-renowned speaker. we all need our vitality, because with our vitality, it amplifies who we are. Vitality is that energy within. It's that ability to just show up no matter if you get out of bed and you're tired and sluggish, you step up, you do your routines, and you just unleash this power within you that you go off and create your mission. So how do we do that? Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a few questions. How long can you go without eating food? How long? Think about that. Maybe write it down right now. Some say maybe a couple of days. Some might say until lunchtime. Who knows? You could actually go up to over a month without eating food. Pretty crazy, right? How long can you go without drinking water? We're talking about water here, not soda, not Coke, all that water, right? Write it down. You can actually go up to a couple days without water. How long can you go without breathing? That's a couple minutes. If not, out for the count. So to know that, you can now acknowledge that and make sure that breathing is not just a passive thing, but it's active. And when you wake up first in the morning, there's two things we're going to focus on, is your hydration and your breathing. Because we know those are the two most important things for your energy and obviously life. We want to be around. We're not the type of people, I know you're not the type of person listening right now that's just a sheep. They're just going through the motions. They're disruptors. You're a disruptor. And to be a disruptor, we have to disrupt this pattern, these subconscious programmings that maybe we had at one point, where we just think that, oh, okay, our health is okay. You know, we don't have a life-threatening illness. You know, we're good. That's not who we are. We're like, how do we get better every day? What can we do to be even more successful, to elevate our frequency, this world around us, the people that need to see this? And it starts with these two things. So first, number one, within the first 5 to 10 minutes of you waking up, your goal is to drink 20 ounces of water. Yes, 20 ounces, not 16, not 12, not 20 ounces over an hour, 20 ounces of water, you know, within a minute or two, right? Like, you don't have to chug it, but you could add a little lemon in there. But there's studies that show by you drinking 20 ounces of water, you actually could boost your metabolism. Yes, that is what burns fat, by up to 16%. How cool is that? If I told you you could drink more water and you could burn fat, you'd be pretty stoked, right? So drink 20 ounces of water. Not only that, is it's going to hydrate your brain, which is almost 80% water. You know, you've been dehydrated for over probably 8 hours while you're sleeping. So hydrates your brain, hydrates your gut. You're feeling good, you're moving good, you're looking good. 20 ounces of water. Number two is to do a breathing routine. And I talk about a whole morning routine. I'm just going to give you one little tip of that so we can stay on track here for you, so you get tangible results. Is I do the breath of fires. And this is 3 rounds of 30 reps. And it's inhale and exhale through your nose, and it's quick. It's like a quick inhale through your nose, exhale. It's like this, right? You're not doing a full breath. And what I do is every time my hands go up, I breathe in. Every time I come down, I snap down. This is a physiological change. So if I'm waking up sluggish, and I know some of you might be like, oh my gosh, this is too wild. Trust me, I'd rather do things wild and weird that get me results than doing normal and plain and keep me in the same position. True or not true? So you do 30 breaths of fire. You're going to feel after even the first round, you might feel a little tingly. You're hyperoxygenating your body. You're going to have more brain clarity. This is setting the standards for you. Okay, so remember, drink 20 ounces of water. Breathing is important. Do the breath of fire. 3 rounds of 30 reps. That's increasing vitality. Now let's build that confidence. Remember that person that walked in and you didn't know who they are. You didn't know if they're worth $1 or $1 million, but you're like, that guy must be successful. What was that? Or that woman must be successful. What was that? It was the confidence. It was the energy they gave off. If I was here talking to you right now and I was slugged down, I was sitting at my desk, shoulders rolled forward, I had the same voice and tonality and everything, but I'm talking to you like this and my face is kind of sluggish, would you believe me or want to listen to me about this? You'd be like, who is this guy? But because I'm standing tall, and this is naturally how I train myself to be, because I was the tall kid growing up and everyone was short around me. I grew up in Hawaii. right? I had a whole story in Hawaii. And I would be like this with my shoulders rolled forward because I didn't feel as confident in the way I looked, but also because I was around my environment that pulled me down, right? I'm sure we can relate with some of us can relate with that. But I had to pull my shoulders up, back, and down, stand tall. We have a posture, so even if we're on a Zoom, because we're not meeting in person yet, you want to be the person that's sitting tall in the Zoom with a good glow to them. So people, whether it's a new business opportunity, partnership, you're on a team call with your employees or your teammates, you're showing that confidence, and they're going to be like, what the heck happened to you? Right? In a good way. Whether they say it to you or not, they're going to think that. So how are we going to fix that? Number one, chin tucked to the chest. Too many of us are like this now that we're typing so much and on our phones. Chin tucked, shoulders, this is how you do it. Up, back, down. Core pulled in tight, not sucking in, just tight. Glutes are slightly squeezed, right? It's gonna help take lower pain off of your back. And what you're gonna do is, that's your reset drill. Chin tucked, shoulders up and back and down, core tight, glutes slightly squeezed. Every time you walk through a doorway in your house, wherever you're going, before you get on a Zoom call, I call it the doorway drill, but we're gonna now have it the Zoom call drill as well. You're going to reset. So every time you walk through it, it's an anchor. Boom, okay, good. Now you're walking. Now you're training yourself. You're gonna soon get back to your old posture, but what's gonna happen, right, is repetition is the mother of all skill. More and more, you're gonna do it without even thinking. You're gonna stand tall. Before you know it, someone's gonna compliment you and be like, you look like you lost weight. You probably didn't lose a pound, but because you're standing taller. How cool would that be? That's building confidence. And finally, let me ask you a question. Have you ever put a dollar amount to your day, what your day is worth? Do that. Write that down right now. What do you think your day is worth? On average. I know some people are commissioned, some people work in salary, some people maybe are struggling right now. But what do you feel like your dollar amount is worth? Is it $100 a day? Is it $1,000? Some of you in here might be worth $10,000 a day. Write that down, and if you showed up 100% every single day, you got paid that paycheck of $10,000 a day, $100 a day. Unfortunately, not enough of you, or not enough of the people I've seen and worked with, are showing up at 100%. We have the brain fog. We have the distractions that are at our hand. We forget what's productive versus what's busy. So most of us are showing up at 70% of our day, 80%. So if you're making $1,000 a day, you're losing $200 a day, which is $1,400 a week, which is over $60,000, almost $60,000 a year, because you're only showing up 20% less than what you're capable of. Well, what does that mean, Jake? Well, you're probably asking that, and it's, well, when 5 p.m. hits and you have that last sales call to make or that extra email to send out of that project, but because you're getting decision fatigue because your vitality is not up there, you start doing things where you check your emails. You're thinking you're busy and productive, but you're actually being busy. And you're doing things that are not moving your success needle. So I challenge you to implement this one strategy to attain peak performance. It's to have a productivity list. Your 5 most important things need to be written out the night before the next day starts. 5 important things that will move the success needle, not put the fires out and keep the business afloat. Move the success needle and allow you to achieve entrepreneur vitality. Because if you get 5 of those done and you'd be like, Jake, I could do 15 a day. Great, do the 5. Keep that the consistent thing you'll do every single day, because let's be honest, 15 you might not do every single day. But if you do 5 and then you get bonus of doing an extra 10, you just rewarded your brain massively saying that I just crushed today. You guys relate with that? 5 productivity tasks that will move your success needle. So let's wrap this up here, because I hope that I can just really help inspire you guys with your entrepreneur vitality. I look forward to being able to answer your questions at the Q&A. But remember, 20 ounces of water. Be able to get your breathing in, your breath of fires, 3 rounds of 30 reps, in through your nose, out through your nose. Build your confidence with the doorway drill. Stand tall, do your reset. Be the person that you're meant to be. You're on this call, you're on this event for a reason. You could be so many other places, but you're here, so let's commit. Let's commit to your greatness. And most importantly, 5 productivity tasks written the night before for the next day, so you set the standards of what's going to move your success needle in your life. And look at your life, your days, like a dollar amount. Even though that sounds vain, it is something that's going to give you leverage, so you understand why you should go work out. You understand why you should go drink that water, because it's allowing you to create more freedom in your life. It's been an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to you here. Thank you to Dr. Rupam, Nikki, all the people that put this event together. We wouldn't have been able to do this without them. And I'll leave you with this. Imagine 1 year from now, December 31st, 2021, you implementing these small little tasks, these small little things to achieve your entrepreneur vitality. And imagine what you would be like 1 year from now. What is that dream body you're going to be having? What is that dream life you've created? Imagine that. It's possible. It all starts with you. Thank you so much. God bless. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the Q&A. Have a great rest of this event.
For those of you who haven't yet had the pleasure of interacting with Jake, he truly comes from a place of abundance. He exemplifies this simple yet powerful notion. When you give more than you get more than you give. His energy lights up the room, and his wisdom and passion make him an old soul for sure. Coming up next, we have Dr. Nick Delgado, whose passion is biohacking and bringing out the superhuman in all of us. Dr. Nick is an expert in lifestyle medicine and the immune system for over 43 years. He was the personal health coach for Tony Robbins Mastery University for several years. Quick warning, he is speaking on the topic of sexual function, so now is a good time to have the kids leave the room. Here we go, Dr. Nick Delgado.
The truth about lovemaking. This is for the gateway to mind, body, and soul harmony. I'd like to share with you the concept that in Time magazine, they talked about your love life can predict potentially how long you will live, but more importantly, the quality of your life. And that is why I wrote the book, Mastering Love, Sex, and Intimacy. Jenny, you know there's 3 distinct types of orgasms, and most men have no clue. Even women are not aware of these 3 distinct, different types of orgasms. You're aware of that, right?
I am.
Clitoral orgasm, and I want to emphasize, when you touch the clitoris, observe how your partner touches herself, and generally speaking, it's very, very gentle. I will add, many women, when they're approaching orgasm, they start touching themselves much more rapidly. There's a change in sequence, but initially, very, very light touch, because you don't know her hormonal level, the cycle she's on, where that touch and how it's going to affect the 13 key areas of the vulva. The mind, the fantasy, visual talk, innuendo. How important is pre-talk before, let's say even in the morning before you lead up to making love at night? Is it important to women?
Very important.
So visual, auditory, kinesthetic, there's different modalities that men and women enjoy, but in particular, find out the love language that your lady or guy likes. And I want to say this clearly, that this is a humorous Cactus Pete, and it's making a point that men have their genitalia external, but there's only 4,000 nerve endings in the male penis. Women have 8,000 nerve endings, which actually connect in the pelvic region to substantially more nerve endings, a total of 15,000 nerve endings. Almost triple what any man has the ability to even experience from a standpoint of orgasmic pleasure or intensity. The timing amongst men and women often is off. And we're going to be very clear. Women often need about 20 minutes or more of stimulation. Women are just warming up past the 20-minute point. Most women take about 1 hour before they reach the full phases and plateau to reach orgasmic pleasure. So that's where certain products like peptides, PT141, this helps to allow a man to achieve an erection during kind of the fantasy part of the brain. Because of this peptide, it allows a man to reach hardness, maximum hardness, at the right time. Or if a man has difficulty and he's quite a bit older and he can't reach an erection, and even PT141 mixed with some herbal products that help to clear an enzyme, or the blue pill, if you will, Cialis or Viagra. All of those can work, but some men, when they want to guarantee that, let's say they're talking to their lady into the night, they're a little tired, fatigued, but they want to achieve an erection at the appropriate time after they please the woman. Let's be clear about that. My favorite book on the subject is She Comes First. I also wrote about this in my book, Mastering Love, Sex, and Intimacy. And so in the book, in the last 3 chapters, I go into great detail about this, but I wanted to be very clear that men and women have timing issues, and that timing needs to be brought synergistically, not necessarily to achieve simultaneous orgasm, but to actually achieve mutual satisfaction and understanding each other's love languages. So all of this being said, keep in mind, again, the excitement phase for men often is only about 3 minutes. For females, the phase is at least 20 minutes, up to an hour for most women to reach a full orgasm, because there's excitement, plateau, the orgasmic phase, and then resolution, refraction, and then it starts over again. For women, for most men, they're done for the night, depending on their age. They might start up again and again if they're younger, but we can duplicate that ability as you progress through the phases of life with herbs, peptides, fantasy, proper amount of sleep. All of these things are absolutely essential. But here's the key point. Intercourse will only reach the vagina with no pleasure nerve endings. Dr. Alfred Kinsey, the famous Kinsey reports, hired 5 gynecologists. He had 900 women examined, and they found 13 external areas of the vulva that had stimulatory nerve pleasure endings, including the clitoris. However, 98% of the women did achieve stimulation and pleasure in the external area, but virtually 100% felt no pleasure whatsoever within the vagina. I think that is probably astonishing, not only to most men who, when I give a lecture of this nature, I see the men nodding their head, they don't believe it, and every woman in the audience is nodding their head, it's true. Although some women will even fake themselves into thinking they should be having vaginal orgasms when it's virtually impossible. So keeping that in mind, Sally met Harry, is that what it was? Mm-hmm. And she's faking this orgasm. Almost every woman has learned in the bedroom to become an actress. And it's unfortunate because it breaks down the bond between men and women, because the initial love relationship is based on essentially lack of truth. And we want to bring truth back into the bedroom. And that's where we are talking about the proper techniques, the mindset, and the ability to understand the pleasure sites of a woman, and more importantly, how it all really begins in the brain, sex in the brain, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you're going to have some questions for me at the end, but when we talk about using some of these herbal products, whether it be a pharmaceutical, which is Cialis, Viagra, Levitra, or you use a Mori-V or passion pill, which is fast becoming a big favorite amongst men and women. Whatever you choose, that's just one part of the whole cycle of fantasy, excitement, and lovemaking. Now, many men want to build up their sexual energy and tension and not ejaculate. And that's a proven technique to kind of transmute that sexual energy into your business, into your career, into your love life, and build and build and build with your lover. And maybe after the 3rd day or a week or 2, depending on your age, you're going to find that at some point you're going to want to release. And I know of men that sometimes will go a month, but they're having sex every day. They're having intimacy and love, and they're building all this energy and tension. And when they finally release, it's an amazing relief and enjoyable, but it's not the main focus, if you know what I mean. And that should not be the main focus for women either. But imagine if a woman and a man were to have an encounter, and if they were start to realize the way you breathe through your nose builds nitric oxide, increases pleasure. Did you know that the nose has the equivalent tissue built into the nose that's equivalent to erectile tissue? And if you're a mouth breather, which you breathe at night, I know of some people, many people in fact, who have sleep apnea and other sleeping disorders, they breathe all night with their mouth open. You need to practice breathing through your nose during exercise, during sleep. Even if you have to tape your mouth shut, there's a great book written by a gentleman, and it's titled Breathing. And it's a great book. But the point is, it improves orgasmic pleasure. So the whole concept of mastering love, sex, and intimacy, and she comes first, is to be able to time and know and please your mate, and then enjoy mutual love and excitement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, Nick, that was quite something. This topic is often not communicated and considered taboo. I cannot wait for you to be questioned by our live panel. I hope the kids weren't paying attention, but our audience was certainly engaged. You can get deeper insights from Dr. Nick's conversation on our YouTube channel, 180 Elevate. And now, let me welcome our live panel on stage, Nick, Jake, and Emily. Glad to have you with us today. Diving right into it with our audience, let's take the first question. Hello.
Hi, Nikki and Rupam. Congratulations on this amazing and integrative mind-body initiative with excellent panel of top speakers and your beautiful ideas to elevate us. Thank you for this gift. In regards to equal energy exchange, I have a question for Emily. So Emily, you gave us some great pointers, and you just talked about the idea that you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. And what happens if a near and dear loved one is a cause of low energy or negative vibration? And they're very close to you. So how do you cope with that?
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, common question. I would say if there's someone like you live with them, they're your spouse, there's really kind of no getting away from them, if you know what I mean. I try to lead by example, and I would gently push them into personal development. Maybe, share with them one of Tony Robbins' events, share with them a book, leading by example, so they can then step into their own journey. I know I've had a lot of family members that I felt like blamed a lot, complained a lot. I introduced them to the personal development world. I brought them to my church, and they started to grow. So there's that side of it. And then I would also suggest, like, if it's friends or people in your life, I always believe we should lead with love. And I'm not saying don't completely cut people off, but I just limit my time with them. And I'm really aware of how much time I'm spending with them and how I feel after I'm with them, and, just try to love them from a distance.
I actually
Thank
had a
you.
follow-up. I did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I also had a follow-up to your question, which I was very curious about. What if we are the most elevated out of the 5 we spend the most time with, whether our peers, coworkers, or friends? Do you recommend, or is it recommended, to remove yourself from the group and find another group that is more elevated than you? And if so, it's very hard to find your village, the folks that you're close to, that you spend a lot of time with, and it's not easy to do that. So I'm really lost on that answer on what to do if you're in that situation. What will your thoughts be?
So good. And throughout my journey, my growth journey, I've often found I'm suddenly the smartest person in the room. And how did that happen, right? And so I always believe there's a tremendous amount of love, and there's a certain reason you're in certain rooms to pull people up, but you also need to be in rooms where they're pulling you up as well. And so I have just looked for different people to become friends with, to go to lunch with, to go to coffee with, to join groups such as this with like-minded people where you're like, wow, she's a go-getter. Wow, he thinks different. Wow, we can collab on different events, and to really put yourself out there. And I found it's all about putting yourself out there, and people that think different, that live at a higher frequency, they want to be around other men and women that are exactly the same. And so when I just started putting myself out there, I'll even find someone on Instagram that I can just tell they live a bold life. I can just tell they live differently. I might even send them a message and say, hey, this is super forward, but would you love to jump on Zoom? You just look like somebody that I would love to get to know. And that's how I built a lot of friendships and just created those circles myself through networking.
Hopefully that's what we're creating with 180. That was one of our motivations,
Yes.
is to have a high vibe tribe, because we're all starving for intellectual communication and authentic connections. And
Absolutely.
as you grow and evolve in your journey, you feel it. It just comes from that place where nobody can fake it. I mean, there's a joy GPS, that's what I call it. After I'm done meeting people, I'm like, did they drain me or did they enliven me?
Oh,
and that's
love
how
that.
it goes.
Yes.
Joy GPS. Awesome.
So
It's one of
good.
the words I made it up. I might even just claim it.
You should.
And so who do we have next?
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa, and I just wanted to start off by saying I've seen the behind the scenes and all of the time and work that has gone into this, but more importantly, the passion and heart. So I just want to say big congratulations to Rupam and Nikki for having their vision become a reality, and to everyone who's been involved and has come together. I think it's been really motivating and inspiring for everyone.
A shout
And my
out to
question,
you, Alyssa, on that, though, because you have done a fabulous job for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
of course. My question is for Nick. So your insights are primarily based on the physical aspects. Could you go into a little more and elaborate on the mental connection and romantic vitality?
Yeah, I'm really a proponent of helping people to appreciate what the concept of mind, body, spirit is. I mean, when you think of romance, all relationships go through stages. And initially there's that attraction, the love, the excitement, and then there's disappointment. It's the long-term commitment that people make together that makes the difference. But the people I've seen who live together, not just in a sexless marriage, but in love, they make a commitment to having a date night, not once a week, once a month, which is what most relationships deteriorate to. Men have a hormone called vasopressin, and they only bond if they make love every day for 30 days. Now, you can miss a day or two, but the point is that hormone is one that brings us very close to the feminine energy. And I think that we have to appreciate that we have values in common or not. And it's similar to what Emily was saying. You know, we have to go to different wells to meet our contribution, our feelings of value and life. So I just got back from the Mr. Olympiad event. Literally, I flew in just a few hours ago. I go to emotional healing and timeline therapy conferences. I go to spiritual conferences. I go to physical fitness conferences. You know what? You find a variety of people who become your tribe from various different aspects to meet various needs we have. So don't expect your relationship to meet all of your needs. In fact, it's been once stated that you have about 5 critical needs, and Tony Robbins once said 6, I guess it is. And if you meet 3 of those 6, you are far ahead of most situations. If you meet 6 out of 6, it's unheard of. That's like the soulmate of the world. And I think 10% of people are kinesthetic, where they need to be held, touched, and kissed. They don't talk into the night.
The people talking to the night are auditory, and you're meeting another need. The acts of service are for the people who are out there busting it and working hard, and they come home and, oh my gosh, honey, you made me dinner. And you took care of the kids? Are you kidding? I mean, you know what? Listen, you have to know the love languages. You have to know and respect your mate. You have to let go of jealousy and anger and hurt. And you have to bring love into your life. And that takes work. A relationship that's built on a foundation of love also includes intimacy, whether it be sex or not. But the point is that love has to be fostering hormones that keeps us vital and romantic and alive.
Very well. Wonderful. Thank you for elaborating.
Absolutely. I remember on that, John Gray said that a relationship can only take you from happy to happier. It won't make you happy. So let's not count on anyone to make us happy. That's kind of our job. They'll take us from happy to happier. Just a little note there. So who do we have next?
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking my question and also putting on this event. You know, as someone interested in entrepreneurship myself, my question was for Jake. You have a lot of insights on, you know, energy and the vibrations that we have ourselves in order to gear up for success. What about other aspects that someone can't control, such as circumstances or destiny? I'd love to hear your thoughts on about how every variant in life really comes together for someone to achieve vitality.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, like I mentioned when I talked about it, vitality is literally this energy you create from within. We all have this capability to create vitality beyond measures of what we've experienced before. And for this idea of being able to control something that's outside of our control, first of all, you have to release that. You have to know that your destiny is the way it should be, and you can shape those ways. But what you can't control is how you show up every day. And that's the biggest difference maker. People feel like they already know what their destiny is, in the sense of like, oh, you know what, I'm not meant to be great, or I'm not meant to run that successful job, or you know what, I'm just big boned. Well, last I checked, I think all the bones look about the same. So if you can show up every day and increase your vitality, build that confidence by doing the small steps and being able to attain that peak performance, you're going to start creating your destiny into a shape and a form that you've never even experienced. But it starts with those single steps every day of increasing your vitality, just like the single steps of shaping your destiny. And lo and behold, you're going to find out that you're doing things 3 years later, that if you looked at yourself 3 years ago and you asked yourself 3 years ago to visualize what you were doing 3 years later, it would not even be close to where you are. And I speak on that because that's on behalf of my own story. I wouldn't even imagine what I'm doing today, being on an amazing 180 Elevate virtual summit, speaking to you about this. That was not me even thinking about that 3 years ago, but it started by making those small steps, and that's what ultimately shapes my destiny.
Yeah, when we were at Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins a few years ago, he said something really nice which stuck with me for a long time. And that was, the more you notice these things in your life, the more they flow in. It's like you have to observe and notice those things every single moment. And that's what grace is. You just observe it, and then you invite more and more. And manifestation, universe, it's wow.
So, Jake, what's the story behind the tiger picture behind you?
Oh, you know, I say it's either you're a sheep or a lion in this world. And, you know, whether it's a lioness or a lion, we have that decision to show up like that. And it's almost like either victim or victor, you're a sheep or you're a lion. You're going to be conformed, or you're the conformer. You're the one that allows people to become greater, or you're going to allow people to push on what you should be. And it's just a reminder on that. So I believe we all need some sort of visual reminders of our greatness.
That is the high note to end this live panel on. Thank you so much for those wonderful insights, Jake, Emily, and Nick. It was an honor to embark on this beautiful journey and learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It was beautiful.
And I want to thank our audience for joining us today and making our launch event so successful. We could not have done it without your support, and especially the support of my family and friends. You are appreciated every day. Thank you.
Beautiful, Nikki. In this journey of believing in myself for the creation of 180, I'm grateful to my husband and our families, my friends, my staff that lift me up every single time I'm in a slump. But I'm most grateful to my 2 kids, Aisha and Ishan, who are so beautiful, self-sufficient, and kind human beings that make me want to become a better version of myself. Because if they were not thriving, I would have to help them first and never had this opportunity. So thank you, my gifts, my biggest blessings.
We love you all.
Keep elevating. And for our closing performance, I'd like to invite Angie back on stage. Let's get this party going.
Party people. How awesome was that? This song comes from an experience in my life where
turns me on. You walk me home and don't expect to stay until dawn. When you go to kiss my hand and say how beautiful I am, I feel the sweet surprise of butterflies. Ooh, I love my gentleman. Take me by my hand. I love a gentleman. I'm not a true gentleman. Can understand. You are so fine. You are all mine. The way you call me on the phone just to say goodnight. Know it's gonna be alright. When you're looking in my eyes, I see an angel in disguise. You're the epitome of love from above. Ooh, I love my gentleman. The way you take me by my hand. I love a gentleman. I'm not a true gentleman, can understand. You are so fine. You are all mine. The way you love me makes me whole. As I see the truth in your soul, the intensity of what you love encourages me to grow. You empower me, you want for me to be the greatest that I can be. You're my riches and my wealth. Choosing you is to love myself. So I choose you for this life. You're my forever man. I choose my lover and my friend. I choose you, my gentleman.
This next song, we are going to turn it up. It is called Kiss You, and it is a remix. Time to get off the couch.
Come a little closer to me. Love it when you whisper in my ear. Wanting you so desperately. Pull so strong when you're near me. I close my eyes and see you like a dream. As I'm drawn closer to your lips, it's making me scream. What I really want is to kiss you, pressing those beautiful lips to mine. The thoughts sends tingles up and down my spine. I can taste it, I can feel it. What I really want is to touch you. I wanna feel your body getting close to mine. The thoughts sends tingles up and down my spine. I can see it, I can feel it. Maybe I can wait a little longer for you to come make the first move. My heart is beating faster and stronger. This is a chance I don't wanna lose. Can I give it up to you or just a kiss? There's a lot that could be waiting there. I don't want to miss. What I really want is to kiss you, pressing those beautiful lips to mine. The thoughts sends tingles up and down my spine. I can taste it, I can feel it. What I really want is to touch you. I wanna feel your body getting close to mine. The thoughts sends tingles up and down my spine. I can see it, I can feel it. What I really want is you, and to kiss you, and kiss you, and kiss you. I've never felt like this before. I feel with you there's something so much more. What I really want is to kiss you, pressing those beautiful lips to mine. The thoughts sends tingles up and down my spine. I can taste it, I can feel it. What I really want is to touch you. I wanna feel your body getting close to mine. The thoughts sends tingles up and down my spine. I can see it. So close your eyes, 'cause I can't wait. I can't wait to kiss you and kiss you, kiss you.
It's a kissing song. I'm going to make that video in Rome 2021. Dance club, baby. Believe. Thank you.